Hey there, everybody. Welcome back to the Gamerpreneur podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Bradford Carlton. Today's episode, we are talking about when good partners go bad. So you may be familiar with my story of when one of my first investments in building a business of my own. I had an idea for an app, and I'm like, this is the app that's going to change the world, like most people, right? Except I was coming at it with a slightly different perspective. I had been a business law attorney. I understood how business was supposed to work, and I understood like that I needed marketing, and because I built up my own company, and I'd been advising people on how to build their companies. And so I knew that I didn't want to do all the work myself. I couldn't get bogged down in doing all of this work. I had to find a way to get someone else who knew what they were doing in. I needed partners in order to come in and do what they did well in order to do this. Now, I'm not a programmer. I am not a programmer. I'm like, I might be able to go to Hello World in JavaScript if you gave me about an hour of time to study on how to do it first, right? And so I had a friend who was it was a systems engineer, I think his exact title was, but he knew how to code. He knew how to program. He knew how to develop and do all this stuff. And I asked him, I called him up. I'm like, hey, here's my idea. This is what I'm looking to do. Is this something that you can do? And he's like, yes, this is something that I can do. Absolutely no problem. I'm like, wonderful. So I'm like, if I pay you 20 grand to do it, will that work? He's like, absolutely. That sounds perfect. I'm like, okay. So what I'm going to do then, my friend, is I'm going to set up a business and you're going to be 50% owner. I'll be 50% owner. And I'll pay you $5,000 a month for the next 4 months. And it should take 4 months, right? Yeah, 4 months is plenty of time to do this. I'm like, okay. And so at the end of month one, he's like, okay. So I was like studying the landscape and really actually I was finishing up a couple other clients that I had. That way I can spend all 100% of my time focusing on this business. Like, okay, cool. Thanks for letting me know. Like, I wouldn't have paid you if I had known you weren't going to work on anything, but okay. So month two, at the end of month two, he's like, okay, I've been studying and I figured out that I think I have to use this type of language I'm not familiar with. I've got a few buddies who are going to help coach me on this and we're going to work through this. Like, okay, cool. Just keep me updated. End of month three, I get a call and he's like, yeah, I'm not entirely certain we're going to be able to pull this off. Like this code is far beyond what I'm used to. And, it's going to take much more time and much more resources than I have. I'm like, what? Month four, there's absolutely no way this is happening. If you want me to even think about continuing this, I'm going to have to be paid much more money. And here's the funny thing of it. That guy didn't write a single line of code. Not one single line of code. On top of that, he ghosted me right thereafter. I couldn't even get tax information from him to be able to file the company taxes. And since he was 50% of the business, right? And it's just the whole thing exploded in my face. And here's the really, really funny part of it. That guy was at the number one table at my wedding. He'd been a friend of mine for 10 years. I played World of Warcraft with the guy back when I was in college and had known him. I drove to this guy's house back in the early days of the internet on the other side of the country just to visit him because I only knew him from playing the video game. And we were best friends from the moment I stepped foot into his apartment, right? Good friend. And that's how it turned out. And the funny thing is, if you're going to do any type of business, that's probably going to happen to you. At some point, somewhere down the line, you're going to run into a partner who you thought was going to be good. You thought were going to be the right person. They met all of the criteria, and then you start working with them, and it's the absolute worst case scenario. I actually just got off the call with a client of mine, and he's in the same situation. He built this business from scratch, brought on some people. This guy handles this side of the business. This guy handles that side of the business. My client handles this other side of the business, and he's finding more and more that these two other partners that he have aren't interested in growing the business. They just want to kind of coast, and they're not interested in listening to his ideas. They just shoot everything down without any consideration. And he's now at a place where, he built this business absolutely from nothing, and he's thinking about getting out. And you got to feel for him because it's the partners dragging them down. Like this business could be soaring, and I've been working with him for a while. This business could be just flying off the chain, and it's not because these other two people just don't have the vision that he does. They're in it for the money, not for the mission that he was on when he first built it. And so, you never know what's going to happen. You never know what's going to go on in a business, and this business was just it scaled so fast. They went from basically nothing last year to this huge business, and now he's looking at having to get out of it in less than a year. Actually, it's been less than a year since he started that business. And what do you do in that situation? So I'm here to tell you, when you start a business, you have to understand a couple things. The first thing is you're just not able to do it all yourself. Don't even consider doing it all yourself. If you try to do everything yourself, it's not going to fly. Too many solopreneurs think that if I can just wear enough hats and I work enough hours, things will happen. That's not how it goes. Like, you need other bodies. You need other people working with you. And those people should preferably complement you in some way. They shouldn't be the same person as you. They should be different. They should have different skill sets. And so that allows you to focus on what you're good on or good at, and what they can focus on what they're good at. And in that way, you're able to grow faster because you're able to cover the things that you're not comfortable with or not savvy at, and you're able to cover what they're not savvy at, and it makes the business go faster. The flip side of that is, like a box of chocolates, you don't necessarily know what you're going to get. And it could be your best friend for as long as you've known them, and you could be like thick as thieves, and you've been able to go through all kinds of things together, but they may be a terrible business partner. Or it could be just some random person off the street that you don't really know, that somebody else brought into the business and you weren't sure that they were going to be good. They could be the best person on the planet for that business because they see the vision and they see the mission and they want to dig into it. The only way to really know if you have a good partner is to work with them. Now, that's not to say that you have to risk everything every time you want to start a new venture with somebody. Once you get bit once, you learn right quick that you have to have certain things in place. You set up your operating agreement the right way. You structure your stock incentives and options the right way. You build the business in order to avoid being screwed over by a bad partner. But here's the thing. You're not a real entrepreneur. I don't want to say that, You join the real entrepreneur club once you've been boned by a bad business partner. Like, there's so many different things that will get you into the real entrepreneur club that, we've all gone through. We've all done the marketing campaign that was going to be the thing, and then a complete flop. And you're like, where'd all my money go? We've all done those things. And the point I'm trying to make is, you have to both have the foresight to watch out for these things, and you have to be willing to take the risk that it could happen to you, because that's what it is. And too many people are afraid. Too many people are too afraid of taking this risk of having a partner who could end up being a bad partner. And because they're afraid of taking that risk, they're not willing to see their business grow to that place that it needs to be in order to be self-sustaining, to make the kind of money that you want to make. And so instead, they struggle and they gripe about the fact that they wish they could have gone it. You got to watch out. And you hear too many people whine and complain about not having gone for it. And so you got to go for it, but do it cautiously optimistically, okay? With cautious optimism. Go at it with the understanding that this person could be bad. So you want to make sure things are structured in a way that you can get out of that relationship if need be, especially if it's your idea. If it's your idea from the very beginning, understand you may need to pay the person. You may need to give them some amount of option, but give yourself the a right of first refusal to get rid of them somehow, right? That's not legal advice. I'm not an attorney. Just understand that you want to be able to remove someone who's not good for your business, because your business is your business is your business. You need to keep your eye on it. You need to keep your thumb on top of it. And the partner is the thing that'll take you to the next level in most cases, but it could also be the thing holding you back or even destroying your business. So always understand that it's this two-edged sword, that you have to understand that you need it, but you got to be careful of it. So on that note, I'm going to remind you all, Organization is the enemy of sloth. If you truly do not know what you're doing, go talk to people. There are small business administrations all over the world, right? Doesn't really matter what country you're in. There's some governmental body, there's some nonprofit organization, there's some for-profit organization out there. You can talk to business coaches and consultants. There are people out there who can advise you on how you can figure out how to get the right partner and how to avoid the pitfalls of having a bad partner. Spend the time researching it. Not enough people do it. They just grab their best friend, like, let's start a business together. And then a year and a half, 2 years down the line, like, I hate my best friend. I want him to, that's not what you want. You do not want that situation for yourself, because it's all kinds of bad. So take the time in advance. If you're considering do this, take the time and do the research. Google it. Start with Google, right? And, once you have a kind of a good grasp and a good feeling, then start feeling people out. You never know who's going to help you. You never know. I was on a call last year sometime with a guy who was just in a Discord server chatting, and the CTO for the Motley Fool, which is like a major financial publication, it's like, hey, I'll help you do that project. Just like that, he got a business partner, right? You never know. And that's what I want to say. So thank you all. And don't be just a gamer, be a gamerpreneur.